I'm going to show you how I take my plan and turn it into my draft. The first thing before I do anything is I need to talk. All right, so before I start writing it, I'm going to talk either to myself. So if I was taking a test and I had to do this, I had to quickly draft a composition, I would have to talk to myself. I'd have to tell myself the story in my head. But since you're all here, I can tell you the story out loud before I draft it. That helps me take all my ideas from here and put them into words that I can then write down. All right, so remember from yesterday that on my draft, I chose that when I grow up, I want to be a teacher. Okay, and I'm writing this as if I'm a 4th grader. Okay, so when I grow up, I want to be a teacher. Here's my reasons. I love reading, and here's some other details I wrote. I get lost in the story. I can imagine the movie. It's exciting. I love writing. I can be the boss. I can create stories or pictures in my head or in my reader's head. And it's interesting. And my biggest reason why I want to be a teacher is that I want to be like Mrs. Rose, my 3rd grade teacher. She was so kind. She taught me to love learning, and everyone liked her. Okay, so when I talk, I'm not simply reading you my plan. I'm actually telling you the story of it. All right? So, 4th graders, I want to tell you what I want to be when I grow up. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher because I love reading. I love to get lost in my story. I love to make the movie in my head while I read. I also love writing, and that's another reason I want to be a teacher. I love being the boss. And since I'm the youngest in my family, I don't ever get to be the boss. But when I'm a writer, when I'm an author, I'm the boss. And nobody can tell me, that girl has to say this, or that dog needs to do this. I get to decide. That's why I like writing so much. Also, if I'm a teacher, I get to teach other kids how to be the boss in their writing. The number one reason why I want to be a teacher is that I just finished 3rd grade, right? This is me winking at you. I just finished 3rd grade, and Mrs. Rose is the greatest teacher ever. She's so kind. Everybody loves her. Every day somebody comes back to see her and tell her how much they love her and how great of a teacher she is. And she has caused me to love teaching. All those reasons are why when I grow up, I want to be a teacher. All right, so after I tell my story to somebody, or I've told it in my head, then I write it down. All right, while I write, I'm not perfect. I make lots of mistakes. I don't have an eraser because I'm using a marker. Therefore, you're going to see some scribble marks probably. I'm going to move this over so I'm not in the way of my writing. Ha. I don't know how well that works.
Oh, geez.
All right, that's okay, leave it there. All right, so I'm going to start with my beginning, and I'm still working on using really great beginnings. So for right now, I'm just restating what I'm supposed to write about. And what I read, the prompt that I read said, tell about what you want to be when you grow up. So I'm going to start with that. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I'm only looking at my plan because I'm a little nervous doing it right in front of you, and so it's hard for me to remember everything. But I can always look back at my plan to remind me what I was doing. So I'm going to say one reason I want to teach is that I love reading. Does this look like my neatest handwriting? No. I want to try and read it, but it's my draft. I'm more interested in getting these ideas out on the paper, okay? One reason I want to teach is that I love reading. I love getting lost in the story. And creating a movie in my head. I also love reading. Ooh, writing. I like to be the boss. Because I am the youngest, everyone bosses me around. When I'm the author, I am in control. I want to teach kids the same thing. I don't really like saying that. I want to teach kids the same thing. I want to teach kids to love writing. Also, I'm not totally sure that's the best way I want to say it, so I'm going to leave it, and when I get to revising, we'll fix it if I need to. The biggest reason I want to be a teacher is because my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Rose, was the best. She was so kind, and everyone loved her. She taught me to love learning. I may add a better closing as I go. Although that ends my thought, it's not a great closing that wraps it all up. But we'll take care of that part in revising.